What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel and another trailer reaction. Today I'm very excited. We just got our first official teaser trailer for The Watchers. What I'm excited about with this film is, outside of the suspense and the thrills and the chills that are likely going to come with this film, it is being produced by the one and only M. Night Shyamalan. Now, the film stars a character by the name of Mina, a 28-year-old artist who gets stranded in an expensive, untouched forest in Western Ireland. When Mina finds shelter, she unknowingly becomes trapped alongside three strangers who are watched and stalked by mysterious creatures each night. And already, my mind goes to so many different places. When I think of a concept like that, I feel like we've seen something similar to this, or at least elements similar to what you might find in this trailer. So I'm really excited. Off the jump, I get a feeling that this is going to be a very suspenseful film, one that's going to leave you on the edge of your seat until the very end. The film drops in June 7th to be specific. And yeah, we get our first look. So guys, if you enjoy the content, you love trailer reactions, we'll do a full breakdown after we react to the trailer as always. And thank you so much for the support in these videos. It means the most to share this experience with you guys. I love trailers, and watching them together is even better. So without further ado, go ahead and sit back, relax, grab some snacks, and let's check out the trailer for The Watcher.
At the same time, we're all young, single. You know what I mean?
I love the yellowish hue of the many of the shots we see so far. I'm expecting a lot of kills
This place.
in this movie.
Who are you?
We're just like you, lost.
Imagine getting lost in the
They
woods.
come every night.
Already sounds like a horror
Watch
story.
us until the sun rises again. It's a window on the other side.
I'm producer M. Night
They'll
Shyamalan.
be very interested in someone new.
What is that? What are they doing?
Applause. For you, Mina.
Oh, oh, dude, I don't like the sound of that.
Don't you want to know what they are?
That's impossible.
The Watchers. Oh, dude, this seems interesting. All right, guys, so we got our first official teaser for The Watchers, and I have some thoughts. But I'm gonna save those for the very end. We're gonna go through and break this trailer down from the very beginning. So the trailer begins out, as you can see, from the classic cassette player. I don't know what it is about cassettes, or filmmakers find so fascinating about them, but I don't know, there's just something eerie about a trailer that starts out seemingly quiet, and then they put a record on, and then all of a sudden you get sound. And it's a pretty interesting looking record player. I don't know why the end of that looks like a pizza cutter, but I don't know. That's the first thing I thought. Another thing that you can obviously get a sense of, I don't know if that's Dakota Fanning's character, who I believe she's playing the 28-year-old artist Mina, but you see this record playing. I always say this, and I think this is such an important image to start because I feel like it really sets the tone. There's something eerie about this film, something mysterious, something suspenseful. And I think starting off the first couple seconds with silence and then having that transition into a song is very important. And what's even more important is the song choice. And so I think them picking this kind of opera-like symphony piece, I think, is really powerful and truly sets the tone. I always say this, music makes the moment, especially in a trailer where you really want to convey tone. This, I think they got the song choice right for me personally. Like, I don't know, there's something about an opera that just feels like it fits very well with horror and suspense. And so, yeah, I think they did a great job with that. So we get a first glimpse of that. We also have to pay attention to the yellow color palette. They're very intentional in this trailer with the tones of the sound. as well as the tone of the color palette that they use. I don't know, I'm assuming it's a lens that they use to get this kind of color palette, but and obviously the lighting, but it's just kind of orangish, this kind of orangish yellowish hue, which I think also once again fits very well with conveying tone. So it's something I really want to start paying attention to more in trailers, is the colors that they use, and you know, just the different color palettes that they use to kind of direct your eyes. And obviously we get our first glimpse here at the four strangers who will be, I guess, stuck together in this room. What's interesting about this is, like, if I'm understanding it correctly, I guess these four strangers are lost in the woods, and I'm assuming there's no cell service, there's no way for them to call, and they don't really know where to go. So I guess the best thing you could do when you're lost is just kind of stay in the same spot. Otherwise you just inevitably get more lost. So we get a look at our first strangers here. These characters are likely going to be four that we get to know very well. I hope it's not, it doesn't seem to be like a horror story to me. It seems to be very much like a suspenseful thriller. And once again, you get that yellowish hue. And here we go. We see Dakota Fanning's character. I must say too, Dakota Fanning has come a long way. I've seen her in so many different roles over the years, ever since she was a kid. And so it's really cool to see an actor that you kind of grew up with watching continue to do and challenge themselves in different roles. And I think it's really cool. Obviously, one of the most recent films that I saw her in was her return to working together with Denzel, which I think was cool in The Equalizer 3. So really cool to see her here too. And obviously, she's going to be one of the main faces of this. But we see, again, when we talked about color palette, obviously Dakota Fanning's kind of blonde hair, and then the whatever lighting that they used to create this kind of orangish hue really works well in this particular scene, with just kind of creating this, I don't know what the best way I could describe it is, but I just think it fits very well. You get also a hint of brown coming in, not only with what she's wearing, but obviously in contrast with the couch, which I think just makes things stand out really well. I mention these things because I think it's important to pay attention to how color conveys tone in a film like this, as well as how they use certain colors, whether it be the actors and what they're wearing, and use that to kind of bring your focus and your attention to the actor while not muddying them out. Like, for instance, can you imagine if she was wearing blue in this particular image? And you can also see this with the other characters, right? Picking certain colors that I think, you know, fit very well. Now, one thing you'll see here in this shot is obviously, again, some of the other characters. You know, one of the main characters here, obviously in a bluish dress, and then you see this bird in. Now, knowing M. Night Shyamalan and the films that I've seen him in, where, you know, he really likes to provide nuanced details in some of the mundane things that many people will skip over, I feel like this bird will probably be the hero. The hero or the protagonist of the entire film, or the bird is the key or something like that. Like, something about the bird being in a cage could just be, you know, something to keep the bird in a cage, but it could also be symbolic of the characters kind of being in their own cage. Again, this is just, it's symbolism that I think, you know, is so interesting to discuss and kind of dissect when we look at trailers like this. So obviously I think the bird being in a cage is definitely symbolic, and the fact that it's on the floor, you know, kind of front and center a little bit. Yeah, your eyes are kind of drawn to to one of the characters, or, you know, but there's something about the way that the lighting hits this bird being in a cage I think fits very well. Again, more looks at these kind of yellowish tones and hues, very, you know, carefully outfits for each of the characters to help them stand out against the muddy kind of yellowish sunlight, which I think is really cool. Four very different individuals. You know what, I think with like four individuals being stuck in a kind of this kind of box, right? It makes me think of, there was a film that came out years ago that I can't remember the name of. I think it was called Devil. And it was a horror film, but it was basically, it seemingly saw I think it was like 4 or 5 individuals who are all stuck in an elevator. And throughout the course of them being stuck in the elevator and the security team trying to get them out, they, you know, people start being unalive, and it's all a matter of like who's the killer, you know, who's the one who's doing it. And yeah, it was a really interesting concept. So when I see this, I kind of think about that. Yeah, then we have an very old school TV. I feel like some people won't even be able to fully understand what that is. Again, Dakota Fanning's character, you know, during this, obviously, you know, during the trailer, we're getting a lot of the music kind of conveying the tone. They're not really saying that much, but the only thing that they're left with, I guess, while they're here in the form of entertainment, is this DVD, a season 3 Layer of Love, which I've never heard of it. I don't even know if it's real or if they made it up exclusively for this film. But yeah, it's probably going to be, this is something that's important too, because I feel like this is also going to be one element that conveys a great amount of tone in this film as well. So definitely something to look out for, where moments that there are going to happen in this in this show that they're watching are likely going to be critical to the overall plot. And then we get our first glimpse of the back, which it's hard to see. Okay, we kind of see it. It says, "Welcome to the lair," which not only feels synonymous with the show and the season, right? But also feels synonymous with their current situation, that they're in this kind of lair, this unknown space that they're unfamiliar with. I'm sure there's other elements within the back of this DVD that could provide some details into the plot. It just says property of Professor. I don't know if that, maybe there's a letter missing or something like that. I don't know. Again, when it comes to M. Night, films that, M. Night Shyamalan is a part of, it's definitely important to pay attention to key details and things that just seem so mundane. I also love some of the shots that we get in here. I'm going to try to stop pausing it and allow things to play out, but I love some of the shots that we get here. Obviously, we start to incorporate a little bit of some greenish hue from the outside, and as we look inside this room. But one thing that's interesting here that I do want to point out is it looks like there's a little bit of a reflection coming off of this. Now, we know through the end of the trailer that there's these creatures that are watching these 4 people, but I'm curious. It doesn't seem like these 4 people are stuck in this, so it makes me wonder how exactly they end up there and how they're not able to see the creatures that are watching them. There's so many questions that I have here, but it's almost like a science experiment, if you will. Like the humans are the subject, and I think that's such a poignant commentary. Potentially by the end of the film, once we get to the end and we find out the whole plot, it could potentially be a very poignant commentary on the human condition. It could be them, providing some sort of statement in terms of how humans are trapped, how we are the circus, we're the, the thing to be watched, or something like that. And maybe potentially it's none of those things. We also get a look, which we didn't see at the beginning of the trailer. We kind of saw it was blurred out, but all we saw was that the music was playing. But we get a very old school looking record player, which, is very old school. You can see that it's a little rusted, which provides details in terms of potentially how long this place has been here, how long it's remained untouched and unkept, right? Obviously, to see a very old, rusted kind of music player definitely signifies that they're in a very old kind of abandoned facility. And we get a glimpse here of the actual of the record itself, which not by a group that I recognize or an artist I recognize. It just says Fior, something like that. And of course we get this really interesting moment where Dakota Fanning's tapping on the mirror, and then when she taps on the mirror, it takes you to different aspects. She taps on it once and it takes us to potentially the moment where she gets lost. I don't know if that's her car, maybe it's following one of the other characters in a moment that they got lost. These are 4 characters that we don't necessarily know, and so as you can imagine, we're likely going to get some backstory. We're probably going to get some flashbacks into how all of these individuals got in this particular situation. So definitely something to keep an eye out for. In this moment, you can also see, if you pause here, we can see, like I said, some backstory to how each of the characters potentially gets here. It also could just be following Mina's character, or Dakota Fanning's character, Mina, who in the moment where she gets lost, and as you can see, there's some sort of jamming thing happening, phones losing service, which is obviously how she gets lost. Potentially she runs out of gas, maybe hits a flat tire, and then decides to hit it on foot. A beautiful shot here, guys, that we have to, pay attention to. This idea of being lost. It's really important to sell it as this kind of desolate, middle of nowhere situation. Now, how she got in this situation is beyond me, but I think they do a really good job framing this shot where you just get a glimpse of this blue car surrounded by brown and green. Once again, very subtle kind of, very subtle color palette, right? Nothing is standing out necessarily outside of the characters, right? And I feel like a lot of that color usage and filter is used to focus your eyes on certain things. But you see the blonde hair of Dakota Fanning, you see the golden cage again, with the bird. I think it's going to have something to do with, just expressing and illustrating that these characters are in their own cage. It could be their own mental cage, emotional, physical. Obviously that's yet to be seen. But every time she taps the mirror, we get a little more in terms of what we're seeing and what's happening. This idea of just seeing nothing but woods, I think, really sells the idea of a desolate environment where there's nothing around you but wood and trees and, possibilities, right? Like, you don't really know what's out there. And when it comes to the woods, your mind kind of, it almost drifts into a very specific space. You know, when you think of woods in the middle of nowhere, you immediately think of creatures and animals being out there. Again, it could potentially be the fact that these four individuals are the animals, that they're the people, they're the things being watched, and potentially showing that they're in an environment that is foreign to them. And so, you know, I don't know. I love this shot too, though. Seeing them all four standing next to each other, I think is a pretty cool shot as they look out and have something potentially look back at them. You also get kind of where they frame the camera too. It's very much a ground shot. And so, you know, it allows, it kind of elevates the eyes and forces you to kind of look up at these characters, forcing them to, you know, to look taller than they are. But I think just also just bringing your attention to them instead of if it was like straight on pan shot, which I think is pretty cool. So then we move on from there, and obviously we get this really eerie moment where Mina kind of peers her head against the glass. The one, I guess it's a one-way glass, right? Where you can see, they can't see, you can't see them, but they can see you. And she hears this sort of clicking sound. In fact, I'm actually going to play it for you.
It's a window on the other side.
So yeah, there's something about it that's super eerie, and coming, like I said, coming from M. Night Shyamalan, it's no surprise that this is a film that's going to have a lot of twists and turns, a lot of uncertainty. You think you're going to have the plot figured out, but then the plot's going to twist, it's going to flip. Potentially new characters are going to be introduced. Maybe some of one or two, maybe all of the old, you know, current characters that we're seeing here of the four are going to disappear. I got chills at this particular shot because you're seeing Mina kind of stare into the mirror, just knowing and kind of providing you, the audience, this idea that there's something staring directly back at her. But you also get the other character in the background that I almost thought was going to be something else. I thought it was potentially one of the creatures. It also could be something it could be a situation in which one of the four characters that Mina is stuck with, or one of the four of them is one of the creatures in disguise or something like that. I don't know. Again, possibilities are endless, which is what I love about these kinds of movies, is that you really have no idea. Even when you think you have it figured out, if it's done well and it's written well, the story will take you, when you're watching it, on a number of different journeys, and it will have you constantly questioning your own reality and what you thought. But then we get another thing. I don't know. This feels straight out of like the Doom games or something. It's straight out of a horror movie where it just says point of no return. 134. Now 134 could be signifying the people who said F it, I'm booking it, right? And never return, right? And then that thing gets updated or something by one of the creatures, or something entirely. Maybe the people that have gotten lost, that have all perished there. Who knows? But then you see this like eerie kind of pit, which again, kind of, it forces you to believe that what's watching them is some sort of beast, or or a bunch of beasts. Maybe it's some sort of like, I don't know. Like I imagine the creatures from, and I guess my mind kind of goes in this direction because of the clicking sound, but I kind of imagine the creatures to be like the kind of creatures that we see in Quiet Place. Like very tall, very lanky, kind of long-limbed creatures that live and burrow underground and live underground, but they also, like, you're in their turf, and you know, those who dare to kind of venture outside into their turf will find their way in this hole, literally 6 feet deep. But yeah, you get a glimpse of that. It's our first shot of what, you know, again, once just continuing to kind of keep us on our toes in terms of what we're seeing here. And then we see some random symbols or some random cave, which could potentially be the end of the film. I don't know if that's luggage that we're seeing. It's kind of dark, so it's hard to see, but it appears to be some sort of luggage. And then they show you in the fastest way possible, then potentially in that same room, hence the yellow, uncovering some sort of hidden floor, hidden passageway, maybe a line directly to the watchers. And then, you know, moving on from there, we can't see them, but they can see us. We see a really cool top-down shot that we have to talk about. I love top-down shots. I think they're really neat. And I think it's a great way to emphasize scale. and scope of the environment, just how small they are in a wide, expansive area. I would be surprised if this doesn't pan out a little bit further so that you can see just how far they are away from potentially any sort of civilization. Again, just creating that emphasis on like a desolate area. Then we see two girls dancing. I don't know if this is potentially maybe some backstory or something like that. Maybe it's a young Dakota Fanning's character, young Mina, or if it's something entirely different. Maybe they're having flashbacks to their childhood or something like that. Who knows? But then we get this weird shot where this kind of like strange hand appears out of the ether. And I almost thought it had I almost thought it had 6 fingers, but I guess not. It really is 5 fingers peering out of the darkness. But then we get our final shot at, one of our final shots at the 4 characters. And then she asks a very interesting question. She's like, don't you want to see what they look like? I didn't understand this moment where he's like, that's impossible. And I have no idea what happened to homie here. Like, how did he get so busted up? But then he just kind of gets dragged into the depths, if you will. And, yeah, again, just signifying that there is some sort of, I don't know, monstrous creature that's potentially watching them. Again, there's so many speculations that I have for this film, and I think that's what's great about this trailer is through its muted colors, tones, music, and palette, like you're able to, it really sends you down a rabbit hole of theories in terms of what could potentially be occurring in this trailer. And it has me that much more excited to see it because now I have so many questions. And for me personally, I think a trailer that provides a lot of questions is a film that I want to see. One that potentially gives you a lot, but it's a lot of vagueness. It's a lot of uncertainty. And I think that's really where this trailer shines. This is a great trailer. And ironically enough, it's only an official teaser trailer, which, to me indicates that there's more coming with the film dropping in June, I believe. It could potentially, they could drop another trailer in the next 2 months or so, probably around April, if they really want to get people hyped for it. But I think what they dropped here, if they only drop this, which I doubt that they will because they want to, the marketing and all that. They definitely want to get people excited for the film. But if they only drop this, I feel like this would be more than enough to get people, or at least to get, someone like myself who loves a good mystery and loves, just kind of, oozes curiosity, definitely interested in something like this. But that is the trailer breakdown, guys, for The Watchers. The official teaser trailer for this film. Definitely one that I'm interested in. And, coming from M. Night Shyamalan, I'm definitely going to check it out. I love, some of his previous works that revolve around mystery and the idea of the uncertainty. So definitely one I'm going to be interested in checking out. But let me know in the comment section, are you interested in The Watchers? Is this a film that kind of drives your attention? Let me know in the comment section. As always, guys, if you enjoy trailer breakdowns, please let me know in the comment section by dropping a like or a comment what you thought, what stood out to you. If there's anything that I missed, I would love to have a discussion about this trailer. It's definitely one that I'm looking forward to. And if you are as well, let me know. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next trailer.